The first thing I noticed that morning was the quiet hum of the city outside my apartment window, a soft reminder that the world was moving on, oblivious to the storm about to hit my life. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the neatly folded pair of sheer pantyhose in my lap, the nylon glinting slightly in the morning light. My heart thumped nervously. Today wasn't just another day at the office. It was the day I had planned to fully embrace a secret that had been burning inside me for years. My name is Alex, 26, and by day I worked as an analyst at a corporate firm, a job that required precision, composure, and a strict adherence to the company's conservative dress code. By night, however, I harbored a private passion, crossdressing. It wasn't just about clothes. It was about exploring a softer, more delicate side of myself that society and circumstance often force me to suppress. I wasn't flamboyant or attention-seeking. This was deeply personal, a thrill and a liberation rolled into one. The pantyhose were more than just a garment. They were a symbol of control, elegance, and a secret identity I had carefully nurtured for months. I had experimented before, skirts, blouses, makeup, but today I wanted to push further. I wanted to see how it felt to step fully into the persona I had been dreaming about. And yes, I was nervous, terrified even. The risk of being discovered made my pulse race, but the adrenaline was part of the allure. I glanced around my apartment, checking for any stray signs that might betray my plan. The place was tidy, almost sterile, a reflection of my daytime self. But scattered on the bedroom chair were hints of the other me, a soft pink blouse, a fitted skirt, and a pair of modest heels. I ran my fingers over the fabrics, feeling a surge of excitement mixed with anxiety. Could I really pull this off at work today, even if only in private moments? The thought made me shiver.
Emma.
I couldn't think about this without her. My girlfriend, Emma, was a whirlwind of confidence and playfulness, and though she didn't fully know the extent of my cross-dressing desires, she had caught glimpses before. She loved my adventurous spirit, my willingness to take risks, but I had never told her how far this particular fantasy went. There was a thrill in keeping this part of me hidden from her too, a tantalizing layer of secrecy that both terrified and exhilarated me. I dressed slowly, deliberately, feeling the silky smooth pantyhose glide up my legs. Each inch heightened my awareness of my body, every contour accentuated, every movement slightly more cautious. The skirt followed, hugging my hips in a way that made my breath catch. The blouse went on next, soft fabric brushing against my skin, giving me an unfamiliar sense of femininity. I added the heels last, the slight elevation altering my gait, forcing me to move with measured elegance. Standing in front of the mirror, I barely recognized the reflection staring back, a composed, delicate, and undeniably feminine figure, yet beneath it, Alex, the same person with the same secrets and anxieties, was still there. The morning passed in a blur of preparation. Makeup was applied with trembling hands at first, then more confidently, as if each stroke was sealing me further into this persona. Mascara, a hint of blush, subtle lip color. The transformation was both thrilling and frightening. I felt powerful yet exposed. I knew the risk. The office was a place of scrutiny, of polished appearances, and anyone discovering me like this would be catastrophic. But I couldn't stop now. The reflection in the mirror smiled faintly at me, almost as if daring me to continue, to embrace the dual life I had been craving. By the time I stepped out of my apartment, the city's noise hit me differently. Every footstep in heels echoed in my ears, a rhythmic reminder of the risk I was taking. I walked carefully, making sure my skirt didn't ride up and that my blouse remained perfectly in place. The world saw Alex, the analyst, but under the surface was someone else entirely. The office loomed ahead, a stark, glassy tower of professionalism and rigid rules. I entered cautiously, feeling the cool, air-conditioned atmosphere wrap around me. Colleagues were busy at their desks, heads down, typing or shuffling papers. Everything seemed normal, but I knew that at any moment, my secret could be discovered. The thought made my pulse spike, my hands clammy inside the silk gloves I had added for extra sophistication. I slipped quietly to my desk, praying for a quiet morning. I had planned this meticulously, a day spent mostly on research, with minimal interaction, giving me the chance to enjoy my hidden self without interruption. But deep down, I knew the universe had a cruel sense of timing, and that today, more than any other, risk was inevitable. And then, as I was adjusting my pantyhose, smoothing out a wrinkle that hadn't been there 5 seconds ago, I felt it, a presence behind me. A shadow fell across my desk, large and imposing. My stomach sank, and my breath caught in my throat. I turned slowly, heart hammering. It was Mr. Grayson, my boss. Tall, impeccably dressed, and notorious for his no-nonsense attitude. His sharp eyes scanned the room before settling directly on me, and in that moment, the world shrank to the distance between us. I froze, every instinct screaming to hide, to flee, to undo everything. But the pantyhose, the skirt, the heels, they were my shield and my trap, all at once. He raised a brow, silent, yet somehow commanding. My face burned hotter than the summer sun outside. Words failed me. I wanted to explain, apologize, vanish. The office felt impossibly small, every corner watching, every sound amplified. The realization hit me like a punch. I was caught. Not just by anyone, but by the one person whose approval or disapproval could change my life forever. And yet, despite the terror, a small, unexpected thrill ran through me. The secret I had guarded so carefully was exposed, and in that exposure, a strange liberation took hold. Would he laugh, judge, fire me? Or would he understand? The tension hung thick, unbroken, as Mr. Grayson's gaze locked with mine. The room felt impossibly still, the hum of computers and distant chatter fading to a dull background noise. My hands trembled slightly, the pantyhose stretching over my fingers as I gripped the desk for support. "Alex," he finally said, his voice calm but with an edge I couldn't place. "We need to talk." And in that moment, I knew nothing would ever be the same. My secret had been caught, and the consequences, whatever they were, loomed over me like a storm cloud. The thrill, the fear, and the vulnerability converged, leaving me suspended in a moment of perfect suspense. The moment Mr. Grayson said those two words, "We need to talk," my chest tightened and my mind raced through every possible scenario. Dread and excitement coiled together like a spring. I tried to remain calm, but the heel of my shoe slipped slightly on the polished office floor, sending a tiny shiver of panic through me. We stepped into his office, a space filled with the scent of leather, polished wood, and faint cologne. Everything about the room screamed authority and control, a stark contrast to the vulnerability I was feeling. I tried to straighten my posture, smoothing the skirt instinctively, adjusting the blouse, as if that would somehow shield me from the consequences of being caught. "Alex," he began, his voice calm but sharp, "I noticed something unusual this morning." He gestured subtly to my legs, to the pantyhose stretched perfectly over them. My heart leapt. There was no hiding it now. I swallowed, trying to summon words that would make sense, that wouldn't get me fired or humiliated. It's just, my voice faltered. The words I had rehearsed 1,000 times vanished into the air. He leaned back in his chair, observing me intently. "I see. And why exactly were you dressed like this?" It was the question I had feared most. My mind raced. Should I tell the truth? Should I lie? Or should I remain silent and hope he misunderstood? Each option carried risk, but remaining silent felt like admitting defeat. I like to crossdress," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. "It's private, personal. I never meant anyone to find out." There was a pause. Then, unexpectedly, he leaned forward, his gaze softer now, curious rather than angry. "Crossdress, huh?" "Yes," I said, my hands fidgeting nervously in my lap. It's a way for me to feel different, to explore another side of myself." To my surprise, he didn't scowl or laugh. He simply nodded, as if processing the information. The tension in the room was still thick, but now there was a strange mix of intrigue. "All right," he said finally. "I'm not here to humiliate you, Alex. But You must understand the risks. This is a professional environment. If anyone else finds out, his voice trailed, leaving the consequences unspoken but looming. I know, I whispered. I couldn't help myself this morning. I wanted to see what it felt like to be fully myself. He regarded me silently for a moment, then leaned back again. Interesting. You've got courage. That much I can't deny. The conversation left me shaken but strangely exhilarated. I returned to my desk, adrenaline coursing through me. Every step I took in those heels was a reminder of how exposed I was, how thrilling and dangerous this hidden side of me could be. I tried to focus on work, but my mind kept drifting back to the feeling of pantyhose against my legs, the soft sway of the skirt, the unfamiliar confidence in my movements. Throughout the morning, I moved cautiously, aware that even a single misstep could draw attention. Colleagues glanced at me occasionally, their expressions polite, some curious. I kept my head down, typing furiously, trying to appear as if nothing was unusual, all the while feeling the tension building inside me. During lunch, I retreated to the empty conference room, my safe haven for moments like these. I closed the door, letting out a long breath I hadn't realized I was holding. The mirror inside the room reflected my transformation: heels, skirt, blouse, makeup. I ran my hands over the fabric again, marveling at how natural it felt now, how the persona was merging with my own identity. And yet, the fear lingered. Every noise outside the door, every footstep in the hallway, made my pulse spike. I was alone, but not really. The presence of the office, of my boss, of the unseen eyes of colleagues, hovered over me like a shadow. Could I really maintain this secret, even for a day? The afternoon brought unexpected challenges. A coworker, Jenna, stopped by my desk, offering a cheerful hello. I smiled faintly, hoping my blush didn't betray me. She noticed something subtle, a shift in my voice, a delicate curve in my posture. "You look different today," she remarked casually, almost teasing. My heart skipped. I managed a laugh, brushing it off as a joke, but inside, panic mingled with excitement. Back at my desk, I began to explore the deeper aspects of the transformation. I adjusted my hair, brushing it gently over my shoulders, experimenting with subtle movements that enhanced the illusion. I straightened my blouse again, ensuring no wrinkle betrayed the secret beneath. The act of crossdressing was no longer just clothing. It was a performance, a careful choreography of identity, posture, and expression. Yet, the suspense grew unbearable. Every sound, the click of a keyboard, the distant ringing of a phone, the hum of the air conditioner, felt magnified, like a countdown ticking toward discovery. I imagined Mr. Grayson walking by at any moment, noticing a stray strand of hair, a faint shimmer of makeup. The thrill of risk coursed through me, sharp and addictive. By late afternoon, the office emptied slightly, giving me a rare moment of relief. I moved to the restroom, taking advantage of the privacy to fully observe myself in the mirror. The reflection staring back was more confident now, yet every inch of me was on edge. I studied the way the pantyhose clung to my legs, the soft sway of the skirt, the subtle blush on my cheeks. It was intoxicating, a dangerous mix of vulnerability and empowerment. But then the office phone rang, a shrill, unexpected intrusion. My pulse jumped. Mr. Grayson's voice came over the intercom, calm but deliberate. "Alex, my office."
"Now."
I froze. My hands trembled slightly, adjusting the blouse and skirt for the third time. I straightened my posture, lifted my chin, and walked down the hallway, each step in heels a mix of grace and fear. The closer I got, the faster my heart raced. This was it, the moment where risk and desire collided. Inside his office, he gestured to a chair. I sat, heels clicking softly on the floor, and he leaned back, fingers steepled. "Alex, I need to understand something. What you're doing, it's more than just a hobby, isn't it?" I nodded, swallowing hard.
"Yes."
"It's part of who I am. It's something I can't ignore." He studied me silently, his expression unreadable. Then, Slowly, he spoke. I have a proposition. My pulse spiked. A proposition? I echoed, voice trembling.
Yes.
You're taking a risk, showing this side of yourself at work. But what if you could channel it? Use it strategically? Think about it. There's power in this identity. Confidence, subtlety, allure, tools that can give you an edge, if handled carefully. I blinked, astonished. The fear was still there, but now it mingled with a new thrill. Opportunity. Could my secret actually become an advantage? Could the act I had always hidden, the vulnerability I had guarded so closely, be transformed into something empowering? He leaned back, studying me with a faint smile. I want to see how far you can push this without being reckless. There's a challenge coming, an event. A high-profile meeting. I want you to attend. In full persona. My stomach dropped. The stakes had just risen exponentially. The thrill I had felt in private moments now collided with reality. An audience, a high-risk scenario, my secret exposed to more eyes than I had ever imagined. And yet, beneath the panic, a spark of excitement ignited. This was the ultimate test, a blend of fear, desire, and transformation. As I left his office, heart racing, I realized the true nature of the suspense I had entered. I was no longer just exploring my secret in solitude. I was stepping into a world where risk and identity collided, where every movement, every glance, every choice could redefine how I was seen, both as Alex and as the version of myself that had always been waiting to emerge. The rest of the afternoon passed in a haze of anticipation. I meticulously prepared, double-checking every detail of my outfit, adjusting pantyhose, heels, and makeup until each element was perfect. The mirror reflected someone transformed, someone brave, vulnerable, and undeniably feminine. And yet, the tension never left me. Each step, each interaction, was fraught with the risk of discovery. I was caught between fear and exhilaration, secrecy and exposure, the mundane reality of work and the intoxicating possibility of fully embracing who I was. By the time the office emptied for the day, I was ready. Ready for the challenge, ready for the risk, ready for the transformation to extend beyond the privacy of my apartment. My secret was no longer mine alone. It had become a game, a test, a suspenseful dance with the unknown. And as I stepped out of the office, heels clicking on the polished floor, I couldn't help but wonder, how far could I push this before the world or Emma, or Mr. Grayson, discovered the truth? The evening had fallen, and the office was nearly empty. The fluorescent lights cast a sterile glow over the polished floors, but it did little to calm the storm raging in my chest. Each step in my heels echoed, a rhythmic reminder of how exposed I was. My transformation into this feminine persona, complete with blouse, skirt, pantyhose, and carefully applied makeup, was no longer just a private indulgence. It had become a test, a high-stakes performance under the watchful eyes of my boss. As I approached the conference room, I could feel every nerve in my body tingling. The room was prepared for the evening's challenge, a client simulation that Mr. Grayson had orchestrated, knowing full well that I would be participating in my cross-dressed persona. My palms were sweaty despite the chill of the air conditioning. Each careful step in my heels was a precarious balance between grace and disaster. "Alex," Mr. Grayson's voice broke the silence, drawing me in. He was seated at the head of the table, a composed figure of authority. "Tonight isn't just a simulation. It's an assessment. I need to see how you handle pressure, perception, and control." I nodded, my heart hammering. My reflection from earlier in the mirror replayed in my mind, soft legs in pantyhose, the gentle sway of my skirt, the subtle curve of my lips. This was me, fully revealed, yet the stakes had never been higher. The door opened, and the clients entered. They were colleagues, but tonight they would test my ability to maintain composure, charm, and professionalism under intense scrutiny. My heart leapt as I realized that every movement, every glance, could reveal not just my persona, but my secret. "Good evening, Alex," one of them said, smiling. "Ready for our presentation?" I swallowed, adjusting the blouse at the collar, smoothing the skirt over my thighs. Absolutely, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady, feminine but firm. My pantyhose brushed softly against my skin with every step forward, reminding me of how different and vulnerable I felt. The meeting began, and I walked through the presentation with calculated precision, my confidence growing with each passing moment. My persona, the confident, feminine Alex, was emerging, blending seamlessly with my intellect and charm. Yet the tension never left me. Every smile, every turn of the head was a careful act of control. Halfway through, disaster struck. A co-worker, clearly unaware of the situation's sensitivity, made a casual comment. "Nice stockings, Alex. Didn't know you were trying something new today." The room froze. My stomach dropped and my cheeks burned. Mr. Grayson's eyes flicked toward me, unreadable. I had to act fast. I forced a laugh, masking the panic threatening to overtake me. Yes, just experimenting with professional attire," I replied, trying to sound casual. My legs felt on fire under the table. Every fiber of pantyhose seemed suddenly conspicuous, a physical manifestation of my secret. The moment passed, but the adrenaline lingered. I realized that maintaining this balance, projecting confidence while hiding my true vulnerability, was far more difficult than I had imagined. Yet there was exhilaration too. The thrill of being so exposed, of teetering on the edge of discovery, was intoxicating. Then came the unexpected obstacle. The office phone rang, an intrusive shrill sound that echoed through the conference room. Mr. Grayson picked it up, leaving me momentarily alone with the clients. My legs crossed and uncrossed nervously, the pantyhose now feeling like a second skin of tension and temptation. One client leaned slightly forward, eyes curious. "Alex, are you comfortable?" I froze. The simple question carried weight beyond the words. Was my composure slipping? Could they see past the facade? I smiled carefully. "Yes, perfectly," I lied, hoping the subtle quiver in my voice went unnoticed. Suddenly, the door swung open.
Emma.
My girlfriend. She had arrived unexpectedly, her presence immediately altering the room's energy. My heart leapt into my throat. Her eyes scanned the scene, landing on me in full feminine attire. Her lips parted in surprise, and for a moment, time froze. "Alex," she whispered, her voice a mix of shock and confusion. The room went silent. Every colleague turned to look, and I felt every ounce of vulnerability exposed. Pantyhose, skirt, blouse, makeup, it was all out in the open. My secret, my private world, was no longer mine alone. Mr. Grayson's expression shifted, a faint smile playing at his lips. "Alex, perhaps you can explain," he said calmly, but with an edge that suggested this moment was part of the test. I opened my mouth, searching for words. What could I say? How could I explain the persona that had been my solace, my secret pleasure, my exploration of identity? My mind raced, heart pounding. I didn't mean for you to see this," I stammered, voice barely audible. It's who I am sometimes, a part of me I've kept hidden." Emma stepped closer, eyes wide, studying me. There was a beat of silence, a suspended moment in which the world seemed to hang in the balance. Then she did something unexpected. She smiled. "You're beautiful," she said softly. "And brave." The words hit me like a wave. Relief, panic, excitement, and vulnerability collided all at once. I could barely comprehend the complexity of the moment, the exposure, the thrill, the acceptance, the fear. But the suspense was far from over. The meeting continued, the clients observing, Mr. Grayson maintaining a keen eye on my reactions. Each question, each comment, tested my composure. My legs, clad in pantyhose, trembled slightly, a physical echo of the emotional tightrope I was walking. And then, the symbolic moment. The mirror in the corner of the conference room caught my reflection. I saw two Alexes. The one everyone expected, confident, composed, professional. And the other, soft, feminine, vulnerable, yet undeniably strong in her own right. The mirror held both identities at once, reflecting the duality I had always lived with in secret. As the meeting ended, the room buzzed with a mixture of admiration and curiosity. My performance had survived scrutiny, risk, and exposure. Yet, the cliffhanger lingered. Emma's eyes met mine, a silent question unspoken. What would this mean for us, for my identity, for the life I had carefully constructed around my secret? Mr. Grayson's voice broke the tension. Well done, Alex. But remember, every choice has consequences. And some secrets are harder to manage than others. The words were both a warning and a promise. I walked out of the conference room, heels clicking on the floor, heart racing, mind spinning. The thrill of transformation, the danger of exposure, the acceptance of someone I loved, it was overwhelming. And just as I stepped toward the elevator, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I know what you're hiding. Are you ready for the real test? My stomach sank. The suspense had only deepened. Someone else knew. Someone was watching. The stakes had just skyrocketed, and my secret world was no longer contained. Every fiber of my being tensed as I realized the next chapter was unavoidable. The thrill, the fear, the allure, it was all just beginning.